Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they all have your private information. They can control not just what you see online, but what you're allowed to say, and maybe over time what you are capable of thinking and believing. In many cases, their services are addictive and harmful, and they know that. It's increasingly clear that tech giants are not just a threat to privacy, they are a threat to our basic American freedoms. Well, for most people, there's not much you can do about it except get increasingly paranoid. Congress, though, can do a lot. It's Congress, after all. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah is the chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Antitrust, Competition Policy, and Consumer Rights. So if anybody can take action against the tech oligarchs, it is him. Senator Lee joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
So there are a lot of ways to come at this story, but here's the bottom line from my perspective, and I think I speak for many. No company has ever been as powerful in the history of the world as Google is, and I would add to that Apple and Facebook. And it's now become really clear that they're misusing that power. So bottom line, they're too powerful and they're hurting people. Why wouldn't Congress step in to pare back that power?
What we have to look at from the standpoint of antitrust law often centers on the concentration of market power, not just from the standpoint of what is too much, but from the standpoint of what is inflicting consumer harm. And something you mentioned last night that I feel the need to respond to about Google suddenly being more of a threat to people's privacy than the government. I disagree with that. That is not to say that at some point a company like Google couldn't become too powerful and inflict consumer harm. But it in no way is as much of a threat as the government to your privacy. Google doesn't have guns. It can't shoot you. It can't tax you. It can't regulate you the way that the government can. And so that's why my much bigger focus is on the threat posed by the federal government to your privacy. By the way, Google has your email. It's one of your concerns with them. They've got your email. The government can get your email, whether it's carried by Google or AOL or anybody else, without a warrant. And that's incredibly disturbing.
Of course, I am fearful of that, and I'm grateful for your work as a libertarian-infused conservative pushing back against that, which you have done. And all my life as a conservative, I've always assumed as a matter of faith that the government is the main threat, but I've come to believe that the threat from these companies is more profound and certainly much more insidious, and there's no recourse. I can't vote out the head of Google if I want. It's a private company. But
that's true.
Here's the
but you can use
most
a different search engine. You do have other options as a consumer.
Well, actually,
you can't as a citizen. You can't just leave. You can leave the country. Most people consider that a very dire, drastic remedy. But as a consumer, you can choose to use a different search engine, use somebody else to handle your email. There are other market options available to you as a consumer.
See, here's the thing. Look, we have with the government, and I'm not defending the government and its frequent overreach, which terrifies me. Of course, I spend most shows talking about it. But we have FOIA. I can find out what's going on. In the case of Google, which is the portal through which people understand reality increasingly, you don't know things if they're not on Google. Google has jiggered its search results to eliminate concepts that it disagrees with, political concepts. This is not a fever dream of mine. This is a fact which is proven. If you don't believe it, play with Google for half an hour. They have changed the search results to disappear ideas they don't like. So why is that not terrifying to the prospect of running a democracy that requires an informed citizenry? I don't understand why that's not really scary.
Okay, that's a fair question. Let's make one thing very clear, though. No one is compelling you to use Google.
I understand
you do have
the
other
libertarian
options.
argument.
Now, it is disturbing. I don't like it when they do that. I've raised this with Google executives time and time again, and I've made inquiries as the chairman of the Antitrust Subcommittee in the Senate with regard to Google. But as of right now, Google, of course, is not a government entity. Google is not a public utility. They are a private, for-profit corporation, one that can make decisions as the corporation deems fit.
But hold on. But Google controls the overwhelming majority of digital advertising along with Facebook, the overwhelming majority. So that means that every news organization that relies on digital advertising, which is all of them that aren't on television, that they're all dependent upon two companies that are wildly political and working against free speech. That's not a concern? That seems a concern to me.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's not a concern. What I'm saying is that not every concern rises to the level of market concentration coupled with consumer harm. And I'm also saying that in this circumstance, we have options that consumers have access to. They can use other search engines. They can avoid Google if they want to, and that does make a difference here.
All right. Senator, thank you for joining us. I used to be a libertarian until Google. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.